My name is Samantha Collins, and I used to believe that family always had your back. I used to believe that love, blood, and trust were unbreakable bonds. But that was before last Christmas. Before I learned that sometimes the knife that cuts you deepest is the one wrapped in a hug. For most of my life, I was the responsible one. The quiet one. The girl who said, "It's fine," even when it wasn't. The one who picked up the pieces when someone else dropped them. And usually that someone was my sister, Amber. Amber was 3 years younger than me, beautiful in a careless kind of way. Long blonde hair she never brushed, eyes that could talk her way out of anything, and that smile, the one that could charm anyone, except me. She was the type of person who thought the world owed her something, and if she didn't get it, she'd find someone else to give it to her. Usually me. Growing up, Mom always said, "Sam, be patient with your sister. She's still finding her way." But Amber never looked for a way. She just looked for shortcuts. If I studied all night for an exam, she'd borrow my notes and call it teamwork. If she overspent her allowance, she'd borrow from my savings and forget to return it, and every time, Mom would shrug it off. "She's just young," she'd say. Well, she's 26 now, and still just young, apparently. 2 months before Christmas, something incredible happened. After years of saving, working late shifts, and saying no to everything I wanted, I finally bought my first apartment, downtown Chicago, 10th floor, overlooking the river. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine, every inch of it. My name on the deed, my sweat on the walls. I painted every room myself, built the furniture piece by piece. For the first time, I didn't owe anyone anything. I remember the day I got the keys. I cried, happy tears. I walked inside, dropped my purse, and just stood there. No noise, no drama, no one asking for anything. Just peace, my peace. I didn't tell Amber right away. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because I wanted to enjoy the moment before she turned it into something about her. But of course, word travels fast in our family. Mom told her the news over the phone, and the next day Amber texted me, "Heard you got an apartment. Finally moving up in life." I stared at the message, smiling politely to myself. I knew that tone. Sarcasm. Amber's way of reminding me that she still thought she was smarter, even when she wasn't doing anything at all. Fast forward to Christmas Eve. Mom's house smelled like cinnamon, candles, and roast chicken. Every corner was dressed in red ribbons and gold lights. Our old dog, Max, snored by the fireplace. Everything felt perfect, at least for a while. Amber showed up late, of course, 30 minutes past dinner. She walked in wearing a shimmering silver dress and carrying 3 shopping bags. "Sorry, traffic was insane," she said, even though she lived 15 minutes away. She hugged Mom, took a few selfies by the tree, and finally turned toward me with a grin that almost looked sweet. "Sammy, look at you, the independent woman with her own apartment now." She said it loud enough for everyone to hear, like she wanted to remind the whole room that my success somehow included her. I laughed lightly. "Yeah, it's been a long time coming." Mom clapped her hands. "We should all have Christmas dinner at Sam's place next year." I smiled at the idea. I loved Mom's enthusiasm. But Amber raised an eyebrow and said with mock seriousness, "Or sooner than that, maybe even next month." I ignored the comment. Dinner went on. Jokes, laughter, too much wine. Then, when the plates were cleared and the lights dimmed low, Amber stood up, tapping her glass. "Everyone, I have a small announcement," she said, glowing with excitement. People cheered. Mom smiled proudly. I expected something harmless, maybe a new job or a trip. But what came out of her mouth froze me in place. "I've decided I'm moving into Sam's apartment next month." Laughter filled the room at first. Everyone assumed it was a joke. But when no one else laughed, the air changed. She wasn't joking. Amber never jokes when there's something she wants. I forced a small smile. "Amber, that's not funny." She looked right at me. "Who's joking? You have 2 bedrooms, right? You live alone. Rent's insane out there. It just makes sense. Amber, I bought that place with my savings. It's not a share." She crossed her arms, pretending to pout. "Wow, so much for sisterly love. Don't make this awkward. It's Christmas." Her tone made me sound like the villain in front of everyone. Mom tried to mediate. "Maybe she just means she wants to stay for a few weeks, dear." Amber nodded quickly. "Exactly, just until I get on my feet." But I knew that tone too. Until I get on my feet had always meant until I find another person to carry me. Dinner ended with that tension hanging in the air. Everyone avoided eye contact. and Amber acted as if nothing had happened, laughing, humming Christmas songs, while my mind spun with frustration. The next morning my phone buzzed. Amber again. "Hey, just checking. Should I start packing now or after New Year's?" My jaw literally dropped. I typed back slowly. "Amber, you can't move into my apartment. I never agreed to that." Her reply came seconds later. "You said nothing last night. Mom thinks it's fine. Don't overreact." My fingers tightened around my phone. Overreact? Someone planning to occupy my home without permission. And I'm overreacting? I called Mom immediately. "Mom, did you tell Amber she can move in with me?" She sighed softly. "Sweetheart, she's struggling right now. Her roommate kicked her out and she doesn't have a place to go. I just thought maybe, for a little while." I took a deep breath. "Mom, this isn't about kindness. It's about boundaries. She can't just take what's mine." There was a long pause. Then Mom whispered, "You know she won't listen, Sam. Maybe let her stay until she figures things out." I ended the call quietly. Amber had once again turned Mom into her shield. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the soft lights of the city through my window. I should have been celebrating Christmas, success, independence, but all I felt was frustration. Every memory of growing up with Amber flooded back. The borrowed dresses that never came back, the projects she took credit for, the way she always played the victim. I realized something. I had spent my whole life protecting her from consequences, and that's why she never changed. I wasn't going to let her win this time. If she wanted to move in, fine, let her think she's getting what she wants. Because this time, I had other plans. The next day, I met Liam, my friend from work who handled real estate contracts. Over coffee, I told him everything. He chuckled. "So basically, she's planning rent-free luxury at your expense." "Exactly," I said, crossing my arms. He leaned forward. "Then make her think she's winning, until she's not." That sentence stuck in my head like a spark. That evening, I called Amber. "Hey," I said in my calmest voice. "About you moving in. Maybe it's not such a bad idea after all." Her excitement was instant. "Wait, seriously?" "Oh my God, Sam, I knew you'd understand." "Yeah," I replied sweetly. "Family helps family, right?" She squealed. "I'll start planning this weekend." "Perfect," I said, and when I hung up, a slow smile spread across my face. Amber had no clue. She thought she'd won, but she had just walked right into the lesson of her life. That week, I started preparing. I spent hours organizing every document, every receipt that proved the apartment was mine. I updated the locks, digital, that worked with my phone, and then I called Liam again. "Remember that short-term lease clause you mentioned?" I asked. He grinned. "Already drafted. You'll need her signature before she steps in." I nodded slowly. "Good. Let's make sure she signs it without realizing what she's signing." By Christmas Day, my plan was ready. And as I stood by the window watching snow fall across the skyline, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace mixed with purpose. For once, I wasn't the doormat sister. For once, I was the one in control. Amber texted that night, "Can't wait to move in." "This is going to be so much fun," I whispered to myself. "Oh, it will be, just not for you." The day my sister Amber was supposed to move in, Chicago was covered in a blanket of snow. The streets shimmered in silver, and I could hear the soft hum of Christmas lights outside my window. But inside my apartment, my heart was calm. Cold, but calm. Everything was ready. I'd cleaned the place, prepared a spare key, a fake one, of course, and printed the lease form that Liam had customized for me. It looked like a simple short-term roommate agreement. But hidden in the fine print, it clearly stated that I was the sole owner of the property and that any guest staying without a rental contribution could be evicted without notice. It also included a clause about guest misconduct that could be used to remove her immediately if things got ugly. It wasn't a trap. It was protection, finally. At exactly noon, there was a knock on the door. 3 loud bangs. No doorbell, just her. I opened the door and there she was, Amber. Perfectly dressed, as if moving into a luxury condo was a photo shoot. "Hey sis," she said, waving dramatically. "Ready for your new roommate?" I smiled. Ready as ever. She rolled in a suitcase, dropped her bags on the floor, and twirled around like she was auditioning for a movie. "Oh my God, Sam, this place is amazing. You didn't tell me it had a river view." I leaned against the wall, watching her inspect everything. The couch, the art, the small kitchen. She opened the fridge, frowned, and said, "You don't have any almond milk." "I'm lactose intolerant, remember." I kept my tone light. "You could have brought some." She laughed. "Oh, please, I'll make a list." "You can grab groceries when you go out just like that." She was already giving me orders. The old Amber was back, full force. For the first 2 days, she was on her best behavior. She cooked once, cleaned a little, and called me her favorite sister. But by day 3, the mask slipped. She started leaving makeup all over the sink, shoes scattered by the door, half-eaten food on the counter. She played music late at night, called her friends over without asking, and even used my new silk robe. When I confronted her, she laughed. "Oh, come on, Sam. Relax. We're family. What's yours is mine." I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't argue. I just smiled, because I already knew how this story would end. By the end of the first week, Amber had practically claimed the apartment. She started introducing it as our place. She even updated her Instagram bio, living my best life in downtown Chicago. And guess who was tagged? Me. Sister goals. Her friends came over on Friday night, uninvited, 3 of them, loud, with takeaway boxes and cheap wine. They laughed, played music, and sprawled across the couch while I was trying to finish a work report. At one point, Amber said loudly, "Don't mind Sam, she's always so uptight." The girls laughed. That night, as I lay in bed listening to them giggle in the living room, I whispered to myself, "Not for long." The next morning, I started my plan. "Hey, Amber," I said over coffee. "About the living arrangements. We should make it official, you know? Just something on paper, for security. You know how management is about guests?" She groaned. "Ugh, paperwork? Really?" I shrugged. "It's just a formality. You don't even have to pay rent. It's just so if anyone asks, I can say you're registered." Her eyes lit up. "Oh, so I don't have to pay anything?" I smiled sweetly. "Not a dime." She snatched the paper, skimmed the first 2 lines, and signed without reading the rest. Typical Amber. She even drew a little heart next to her name. I folded the paper and slipped it into my drawer. Game on. Over the next few days, I started letting her believe she was winning. I acted tired, quiet, even submissive, the same old Sam she remembered. I let her take over the TV, the kitchen, the playlist. I didn't fight back when she used my skincare or when she borrowed my jacket without asking. She thought I'd surrendered. She didn't realize I was taking notes, literal notes, every time she crossed a line. One night, she hosted another mini party. The noise was insane. My downstairs neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Grant, knocked on my door complaining. I apologized and promised to handle it. Amber rolled her eyes. "God, she's so dramatic." "It's just music," I didn't reply. I just made sure to record the noise level, a clear violation of the building's tenant rules. That was strike 1. 2 days later, I came home to find my favorite glass vase broken on the floor. Amber shrugged. "Accidents happen." Then she laughed and said, "You should be glad I didn't hurt myself." This thing was expensive looking. That was strike 2. And strike 3 came soon after. I got an email from my building manager about a complaint. Apparently, someone had been smoking on the balcony. I didn't smoke. Amber did. I knew she'd deny it, so I checked the building's security footage. Clear as day, there she was, blowing smoke into the winter air. Perfect. That evening, I invited her to dinner, just the 2 of us. I ordered her favorite, sushi and white wine. She looked surprised. "Wow, you're spoiling me tonight." Feeling guilty, I smiled. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just celebrating something. She grinned. "Celebrating what?" I raised my glass. "Independence." She frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I just handed her an envelope. She opened it. Her face fell. It was the agreement she had signed, with highlighted clauses showing her violations. Noise complaints, property damage, unauthorized guests, smoking on premises. And at the bottom, my signature, right above the building manager's. "This," I said calmly, "is your official notice to vacate the property within 48 hours. Her eyes widened. "You're joking." "No, you broke the rules you agreed to." She threw the paper on the table. "You tricked me. You set me up." I sipped my wine. "No, Amber." I protected myself. "You set yourself up." She stood up, shouting, "Mom's going to hear about this." I nodded. "She already has. She supports my decision." That was a lie, but a necessary one. Amber's face twisted with rage. "You think you're better than me just because you bought some stupid apartment?" I looked her straight in the eye. "No, Amber. I just finally learned to stop letting you use me. Silence. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She left that night, slamming the door so hard the frame shook. The next morning, I woke up to find the spare key she had used. Broken, bent, and useless. I smiled. It was the fake one anyway. For 2 days, I didn't hear from her. Then came the inevitable text. I'm sorry. I went too far. Can we talk? I hesitated. Part of me, the old Sam, wanted to forgive her. But the other part, the one that had been stepped on for years, whispered, not this time. I texted back, you need to take care of yourself, Amber. I hope you find a place that's truly yours. She read it. No reply. And just like that, silence. Weeks passed. The snow melted. The city returned to its usual chaos, and my apartment finally felt like mine again. I bought a few new plants, repainted the walls, and reclaimed my peace. Every time I walked through the hallway, I could almost hear the echo of my own footsteps. No arguing, no guilt, no drama. I even started sleeping better. No nightmares, no anxiety about who might walk in or what might break next. Just me and quiet. Then, one morning, I got a letter. No return address, just my name in her handwriting. Inside, a short note. You were right. I was wrong. I hate how you had to teach me that lesson. But maybe I needed it. Mary, late. Christmas, sis, no apology could undo the years of manipulation. But it was a start. I folded the note and placed it in a drawer, right next to the signed agreement. A reminder that boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. That evening, I sat by the window again, watching the city lights shimmer across the river. I thought about all the times I'd been too afraid to speak up, too scared to say no. But now, for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of being the villain in someone else's story. Because this time, I had written my own ending. And the best part, it wasn't revenge. It was freedom. It had been months since that Christmas dinner, the night everything changed. The night I realized that sometimes betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from family. Spring had arrived in the city. The snow outside my apartment windows had melted, and for the first time in a long while, sunlight poured through the glass. The apartment finally felt like mine again, not something I had to protect or defend. The quiet no longer felt heavy. It felt earned. Every morning, I brewed coffee, sat near the window, and watched life move on below. New neighbors moved in, children played in the courtyard, and somewhere in that ordinary rhythm, I found peace again. I hadn't spoken to Amber since that night. She hadn't called, hadn't texted. I figured she'd gone back to her friends, maybe found another couch to crash on, or another person to manipulate. I told myself I didn't care, that I'd done what I needed to do. But the truth, some nights I still thought about her, about the sister I used to know, the one who would braid my hair before school, who used to make me laugh until I cried. Because no matter how much someone hurts you, memories don't just disappear. It was a gray, rainy Tuesday when it happened. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when I heard a knock at the door, soft, hesitant. Something in me froze. When I opened the door, I almost didn't recognize her. Amber stood there, soaked from the rain, her blonde hair plastered to her face, eyes red and swollen. She looked fragile. The confident, manipulative woman I'd confronted months ago was gone. What stood before me was just my sister. Sam, she said softly. Her voice cracked. Can I come in? I didn't move. My first instinct was to close the door, to protect the peace I had built so carefully. But her voice, it wasn't demanding. It wasn't fake. It was scared. I stepped aside. Yeah, I said quietly. Come in. She hesitated, then walked in slowly, dripping water onto the hardwood floor. The apartment felt different with her in it, smaller somehow, heavier. She sat on the couch, the same couch where she'd once shouted at me, insisting that she deserved this place more than I did. But now she just sat there silently, her hands clasped together, trembling slightly. I know I don't deserve to be here, she began, staring down at her fingers. But I didn't know where else to go. I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall. Why now, Amber? She took a shaky breath. Because I've lost everything. The friend I was staying with kicked me out last month. I lost my job after missing too many shifts. I thought I could handle things on my own, but I can't. I'm tired, Sam. Tired of pretending I'm okay. Her voice cracked on the last word, and suddenly she wasn't the villain in my story anymore, just a broken person standing in the wreckage of her own mistakes. I didn't say anything for a while. The rain outside filled the silence. Then, slowly, I walked over and sat across from her. "Amber," I said softly, "you hurt me. You tried to take something that wasn't yours. You made me feel like I was crazy for standing up for myself. Do you even understand that?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I do. I swear I do. I was jealous, Sam. I saw everything you had, the apartment, the job, your calm life. And I hated that I couldn't get mine together. I told myself that you didn't deserve it, that I did. But the truth is, I just wanted to feel like I mattered again." Her voice broke. "I thought taking something from you would make me feel powerful, but it only made me feel empty." I stared at her, torn between anger and pity. I wanted to yell, to tell her how many nights I'd cried because of her. But I couldn't, because somewhere deep down, I understood. "Amber," I said finally, "you can't fix what you broke overnight. But if you're really trying to change, I'll listen." She looked up, eyes wide with surprise. "You mean that?" I nodded. "Yeah. But it starts with honesty. No games. No guilt trips. Just truth." For the first time in a long time, she smiled. A small, shaky smile. "Okay," she whispered. "Truth." Hours passed. We talked like we hadn't in years. About Mom. About our childhood. About everything that had gone wrong between us. She admitted things I never thought she would. The lies, the manipulation, the way she used guilt as a weapon. It wasn't easy to hear. Some of it hurt more than I expected. But it also felt like release. Like finally dropping a weight I'd been carrying for too long. When the rain stopped, I made tea, just the way Mom used to make it. And we sat together in silence. The storm outside had passed, and somehow, so had the one between us. The next few weeks were strange. Amber found a small job at a local cafe. It wasn't much, but it was something. She rented a tiny room on the other side of town. We talked every few days. Sometimes she'd drop by for dinner, and I noticed little changes. She smiled more, apologized faster, and for once, she wasn't trying to take anything from me. One evening, as we unpacked a few things in her new place, she looked at me and said, "You know, Sam, I used to think having stuff made you happy. Money, apartments, attention. But now I think peace feels better." I smiled. "It does. But peace isn't something you get. It's something you earn." She nodded slowly, understanding. That Christmas, nearly a year after the night she tried to take everything from me, we sat together again at Mom's table. Same food, same music, but a different kind of silence. A peaceful one. Mom smiled as she carved the turkey. "It's good to have both my girls here again." Amber reached over and took my hand. "I mean it this time, Sam. Thank you for not shutting me out, for giving me another chance." I squeezed her hand gently. "You earned it." Tears glimmered in her eyes. For the first time in forever, they weren't tears of guilt. They were gratitude. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I stood by the window, watching the snow fall again, just like last year. My reflection stared back at me. I looked stronger, softer, whole. I thought about everything that had happened. The fight, the lies, the silence, the reconciliation. I realized something important. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means you stop letting the pain control the present. Amber hadn't magically become a new person, but she was trying. And for the first time, I wasn't carrying her choices on my shoulders anymore. A few days later, I woke up to find an envelope slipped under my door. It had my name on it, in her handwriting. Inside was a photo of us as kids, building a snowman in the front yard. On the back, she'd written, "For all the times I tried to take from you, I finally learned how to give. Thank you for not giving up on me." I smiled through tears. I placed the photo on my desk, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof that people can change. Because sometimes the story doesn't end with revenge or punishment. Sometimes it ends with understanding. Months later, Amber called me out of the blue. "Guess what?" she said, excitement in her voice. "I just got promoted. My manager said I've really turned things around." I laughed. "See what happens when you stop stealing apartments?" She chuckled. "Shut up." And for the first time in years, our laughter sounded real. Not forced, not hiding anything. Just real. Looking back now, I realize something. The apartment, the one thing she tried to take from me, wasn't the real story. The real story was everything that came after. The lessons, the forgiveness, the growth. Because sometimes the thing someone tries to steal from you isn't just a possession. It's your peace, your confidence, your sense of self. And if you let them, they'll take all of it. But if you stand your ground, if you protect your truth, you get all of it back, stronger than before. In the end, Amber didn't just lose an apartment. She lost her pride, her lies, her fear. But she found something far more valuable, herself. And me? I found something too. That peace isn't about pushing people away. It's about knowing when to open the door again. And when to finally say, "Welcome back."